Okay, so I'm Ed Puffer, and we've got Dave Luter here to check out the Biodigester setup that we have here. We had this set up in May of 2014. There's been a number of modifications that have made it even better since then. But what we have here is Anna and Elsa, twin biodigesters, the first in the world, as we understand, that have been done indoors in a residential environment. And what can I tell you about?
Well, I'm looking at this input plumbing is awfully complicated here.
Okay.
The center pipe, the large 2-inch pipe, whatever,
Yep.
is what?
Okay, so this is right underneath the kitchen sink. And so if the kitchen sink is running and the incinerator is grinding our food waste, it'll come down here and into this pipe here. As long as down here we have this closed, if this is open, everything will just flow down and out into the septic. But if it's closed like it is and this is open, we've got everything flowing here to a split to go into one or both of the digesters, depending on whether we have one open or both of them open. Okay. This is a release to deal with the Bernoulli effect, which is sometimes things get trapped in here, gas gets trapped, or whatever, and so things don't go down properly. Well, this is like a release valve.
An atmospheric vent.
Yep. And so that actually goes up to the kitchen, and there's a tube that is in the kitchen that goes all the way to the sink. So if we had stuff flowing out of this so much, I mean, we've had it this far or so, but if we had it going so far, it would go into the kitchen sink.
Right.
And it wouldn't, make a problem for anywhere else. The other tubes that you see here are the gas. You have these turned on. Both of them are producing, and it swings around here, goes through an opening here, out underneath our deck where we have our gas bag, kind of lifted up by cargo netting right underneath the deck. So that can hold 500 liters of gas. And this also flows back in here and around, and this one is going up to the kitchen. That connects directly to the stove.
Okay. And this, what is this set of pipes here?
Okay, this is to keep the things warm. So if we were to leave it by itself, it would keep on producing here through the winter, but probably not very well. It would go down into, the 80s or the 70s, Fahrenheit. But this is warm water, and if you look over on the other side over here, this way as best I can. And what we have is a bucket of water with a couple of aquarium heaters. So water is getting heated up, and it is going into, let's see, water would come from here if we needed more water, and it's coming out through the white tubing. It goes into here. There's hundreds of feet of this coiling around inside the digesters. That's keeping things warm. So it's keeping it above 90 degrees or thereabouts Fahrenheit. And the water keeps on cycling out, and it comes back down here, and it gets warmed up again. So that's a closed
There's a pump in the bottom of that tank to pump it around?
Yes. Yeah. No, if we had the means, we would actually send this outdoors to a solar heater, and that would be heating the water rather than us using the electricity of the aquarium heaters. Okay. Mm-hmm. What we have over here is the same for both. This is the outflow. So the inflow over here, the pipe goes way down to the bottom, and there's an opening near the bottom. So everything of the food that comes into the digesters comes in at the bottom. This thing is full of horse manure, and therefore microbes that are eating at that stuff and producing the gas. And as things turn into liquid, that's going to flow upwards. And this pipe here has an opening near the top. So it's only getting liquid coming out. It's going to come out through here and down into this bucket. This bucket will fill up, and if you come around here, you'll see the outflow near the top. And so that goes directly into our septic system. And it's the same setup over here. it's just a perfect spot that we happen to have here. The person who built the house intended to have a kitchen or a bathroom in this spot, so we had the septic lines ready for this. So what we have down here is a useless bucket that we used in the first phase. That's why you see a couple of holes in it, but it's perfect for holding up this bucket, and the valve there will let any bioslurry that we have flow out, and Kathy will use that, put it into the greenhouse, put it into the tower gardens at the ratios that she has. So both of these buckets here can be used for slurry. It happens that we have a little bit of an opening right here, not just for the Arduino sensors, but we have a little bit of an opening right there for a little bit of pressure release. If it happened that too much flowed out and we didn't have that, it would just keep on flowing.
Right,
and
like siphon
our digester would empty out through that and probably go all over the floor because there'd be solids starting to come out as well. So.
Now I noticed there's absolutely no smell.
Really not. I mean, I can come down and I can smell, something that's different than what I had smelled before we put these things in, but it's not a bad smell at all. It might be an earthy smell.
Well, I don't smell anything, which means to me the system's nice and tight.
Yes.
And sealed up.
Yep. Yep. You can see we've insulated it. We did that before last winter. It kept producing through the winter. With the way that we had it, it didn't really drop to, at any levels. We were a little bit concerned, say about a month ago, I was thinking maybe it's slowing down this winter. What's going on? Maybe, whatever it is. But what actually happened, probably the pH level wasn't quite right. It was too alkaline. And it just happened that, among the kitchen garbage that we had, the food waste, was some grapefruits and some lemons. And I was telling my wife, Kathy, I was saying, you want me to throw these out because we never put citrus into these things. But she said, no, actually, at this point, it's alkaline. Put them down and it'll balance things out. And I did that on a Sunday, and on Monday morning, the bag outside was about 400 liters. Wow. It was really producing. These were really happy to have gotten themselves balanced. And we used our grill outdoors, which uses up a lot of gas really quickly, but it was really the only way to use up gas for the amount that we had. But hey, we got to celebrate. We got to do some grilling on December 7th.
Now, on average, how much food waste do you put into this per week?
Oh, per week?
Yeah.
Let's say we probably, on a daily basis, we could put in a couple of gallons of food waste. I mean, we'd do maybe like a half of one of these buckets.
Okay, 2.5 gallons.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah, so make that, something like, is that like 15 gallons?
Yeah.
Something like that, 15, 18 gallons.
Now, you're at
as long as we're doing it. So, there are days that go by, I'm not home, or Kathy's too busy, and we don't really feed them, and we might catch up, we might not.
Okay, and you're an average family of 4, so you're not going out of your way to generate food waste to feed this. It's just what you normally use, normally generate. No,
actually, Kathy does go around, and we've found some people that we can get some donations from. There's a local food co-op, so it's a very small grocery store. They have a compost bucket. Anything that they can't sell and they have to throw away. Well, it's kind of a community grab what you want. Well, we've grabbed out of that a few times. Okay. So it could be, if I were home all the time, we probably would have enough kitchen waste.
Right.
But I'm, home half of the time for, my work takes me out of the house. So, there's some of that just a little bit, so sort of like 3.5 people might not be enough to feed these all the time.
Now, speaking as average husband, I'm assuming that Kathy came home with this harebrained idea to put these things in the basement. What was your initial feeling of that? What was your initial reaction?
I think it's because I'm used to Kathy, and also because I work outside of the house, so I'm away a few days a week. I'm kind of along for the ride. And she was getting into sustainability and permaculture. She was doing the tower gardens, selling, and that. And I was sort of, okay, whatever you want to do, we'll make it work. And what actually happened, the way she brought it up was, hey, Ed, there's this class on biodigesters. I think that you should go. I looked at it, but I don't think I would be interested because it's about, microbes and farting and stuff, but you'd have fun with it. And so she had already met TH, she had already met some of the others. I'm pretty sure she already had the idea to put these digesters somewhere. I mean, she was thinking about doing it. She had talked with him already and, was, getting into the idea of it. That was her way of getting me into it.
Okay.
It's sort of like, and I went to the class, with, the background of a journalist and not a scientist. So a lot of things went past me. But some things I was able to follow because we have been doing the tower garden. So I know about balancing the pH levels. I understood that. I could understand some of the other things. But, I was sort of there and knowing, okay, we're going to wind up doing this. And it wasn't until later that actually TH came to the house. I think it was later. I don't think he came before the class. But he looked at this space that had a lawnmower and a generator and a couple of bicycles up here, and it just crowded with stuff, some shelves, and it was just where we put our things, the snow shovels and stuff, that we're going to be doing yard work. And he looked at this and said, no, this is the perfect place. This is better than I could have hoped for because of the septic lines already set up here. So this is a one of a kind of spot to do this.
Your reaction at that point was, well...
No, I was into it enough. My thought was, this would be a really interesting thing to do, and I'm okay with something interesting going on. Now, there's certainly times when something's overflowing. The way that these things were set up before, they certainly could overflow. And we would be running up and down the stairs, watching, making sure things were okay. If, the Bernoulli effect holding things back, we didn't have this tubing here doing that. We would essentially have those same things and have this on top, and it would be open.
Right.
So we'd have to watch to make sure that it wasn't coming up too quickly, and of course it could spill. And having had, our two daughters, and they're out of diapers, we still have plenty of cloth diapers. So these were our babies. And we'd have to clean up their messes for a while. Now, we still have these cloth diapers because we still have a number of things going on. Every once in a while, something backs up or clogs, or I just realized I've got to get something fixed. Let's come over to this side. We could wind up putting these things on here, and we have a toilet plunger, so we could force that to, counter the Bernoulli effect if we saw that it was happening. But just to open one of these things up is probably going to give us a mess. In this case it doesn't, but sometimes we have a little bit, if we knew it backed up, we knew that we'd have a mess. I've pulled these things open a couple of times. These aren't actually sealed shut. A plumber's advice was, if it's not leaking, don't seal it. If it is leaking, then seal it. But what was happening was, every once in a while I could just tell from up in the kitchen, okay, we've got a blockage somewhere. Usually we were getting blockages down here, and it was the Bernoulli effect. Sometimes we were getting blockages up in the kitchen, in the sink. But at one point it was like, well, I can feel, all right, we've been running things. This is warm. This is warm. This is warm. This is cold. Great. Cold, cold, warm. Or it might still be cold, warm, cold. How's that happening? Well, we must have something right here. So I'd have to pull this thing apart and find that stuff that got ground up but not ground up enough. A lot of it isn't lettuce that's the problem, but a lot of the long leafy stems don't quite get ground up enough. And so it wind up blocking right here. So it would flow into one of them, but not into the other one. And, just have to pull that open, dig it out, have a couple of diapers ready, and clean that up. But, it's been at least a month since something like that has happened.
Well, I imagine your familiarity is growing and you know instinctively, no, I really don't want to grind this up and put it down there because it's going to